Alright, I'm going to be showing you these two sets of eBay iron sights. You got the China knockoff of the Mbus Pro, so if you're copying the mag pulls, and then you've got a generic 45-degree offset iron, which I don't know if any particular clone this is doing it. It just seems pretty generic to me. So we'll start off with the knockoff Mbus Pros. They are made of metal. They do flip up and lock fairly well. The rear aperture right there is also metal where it flips from the small to the big one. It does not have the range adjustments right here like some Mbus Pros do, but that's alright with me for this little sub gun. Locked down well. The only issue I found with the rear one at least is that sometimes after a while of shooting, it likes to do that, where it kind of cants up a little bit, but it never flops around. Other than that, it just seems to have a little bit of a play between right there and there, which that doesn't bother me any. So, I guess you have to ask the question, what are your backup sights really doing, and how much do you need to pay for a set of backup sights? I'm not going to go out and tell you to buy these $12 Chinesium backup sights and rely on them, but I decided that it probably will be alright for me. I have a pretty decent primary optic that is pretty reliable, and what I decided to do for these is I've had them on there for about 6 months, and I shoot quite a bit, so about every month or so I'll take them and I'll flip them up and I'll try to co-witness with them, and just to make sure that the red dot for my optic is sitting right up on top of that front sight post still, and so far it has, and I haven't been abusing this gun, but I definitely have been using it. So on the front sight post, the only issue with that is that your adjustment for elevation is pretty loose. Basically, it's going to flop around unless you only want to have it maxed out in the bottom direction, which I guess would be the highest elevation, which just so happened to be the spot that I needed it in for this gun, so I was fine with it. I have these sights on a pretty short sight radius, as you can see, so I wasn't needing a pair of sights that was going to be a super precision, anything like that. I just wanted, in case some reason my primary optic went down, I could send rounds in the general range, in the general area that I needed to. I'm definitely not going to be doing any precision work with these, which I'm just not a good enough shooter to be able to in the first place. I can only make groups that size at 50 yards with it to begin with, even with the red dot. So I'm not too worried about having super quality iron sights, but as far as them just breaking, they haven't yet. I have plenty of actual name brand higher quality backup irons that I could put on this, but they're bulkier. So I'd rather have these slimmer ones for this gun and sacrifice a little bit of durability in that decision, which for right now I'm alright with. So the next set is just your generic 45-degree offset. You may look at this and think it's a little strange that I mounted them on the 3 o'clock rail, and there's a reason for that. I originally tried to mount the rear sight back here, either there or there, somewhere around in here, and then the front one obviously right there. But I ran into an issue. Whenever I tried to sight down the sights, the optical plane between these two was interrupted by the windage cap on my magnified optic. So I had to mount them on this rail. That's definitely something you should think about if you're thinking about purchasing this particular set of irons. I don't know if they could have made them a little bit longer, or maybe increase the angle a little bit more to clear scope cap, but like this, they won't. You'll have your field of view or your point of aim interrupted by this, so that's not going to work for you. If you have a quad rail and you want to mount them like that, fine. If you have a red dot and you don't have to worry about that, fine, although I don't know why you'd be running 45s if you had a red dot. So basically, both of them seem to be made of the same material, cast aluminum, which isn't going to be as durable as steel or forged aluminum or steel, but for the application, especially this one being on a 22, I'm not worried at all about, and plus it's fixed. I mean, when you're buying cheap optics or cheap sights, it's understandable if you have a really complex sight, like a reflex sight or something, you don't want to spend 20 bucks on it because it has so many complicated parts to it that it's likely to break. But I don't mind spending 20 bucks on something like this because it's a hunk of metal. A hunk of metal is going to be a hunk of metal. It's not going to move anywhere unless I completely just bash it or something like that, which is a possibility, but I'm not willing to spend extra 80 bucks to account for that possibility. The rear sight is just a simple dovetail with a set screw to account for windage, and elevation is your standard AR front sight post that accounts for elevation. Whereas on the Knockoff Mbus Pros, you have this nice little screw here that moves the rear sight forwards and backs. That does click with quarter turn increments, which I don't know what that actually equates to for like MOA change at a distance, but you kind of got to figure that out. And like I said, the front sight, you don't have much adjustability there. It just kind of was a chance that ended up right where I wanted it. So take that for what you want. But my general overall impressions of both of these are they're good for what they are, and for backup sights, I'm alright with them being on the cheaper side, as long as you can see, as I got a little bit higher quality primary optic, because that's what I'm going to be using.